Good morning. I must admit that this Mercury retrograde does seem to affect the computers more than I've ever noticed in the past, and I don't know what it is, but there does seem to be an awful lot of anomalies, not just with my desktop, but with my laptop computer. As I did the sound check this morning 3 times, each time that I'd go back to the actual record mode to start the video for today, the image was frozen. Normally when I have it ready to go, I can move around and I can see myself moving. But each time that I did the sound check and went back, okay, it works. I'd go back and when I'd go back to ready to record, it would freeze up and I couldn't see any movement. And so I'd close down Windows Movie Maker and then reopen it. And I finally did it again this time, and once again, I don't know, I didn't do a sound check on this opening, but it worked the last couple of times, so I'm assuming it's going to be okay. But there are anomalies time and again. Yesterday's anomaly, of course, for those of you that are on YouTube only and not Facebook and aren't aware of what happened, I did my video at 4:44, the same as I do most every day. And 2 hours plus after I put it up, it still hadn't finished processing. And finally I got an error thing. Well, at one point I got a notice that said YouTube cannot be reached or something. I posted it on Facebook, but see, you people on YouTube don't get those instant updates like Facebook gives you, and so you lose out. But anyway, it ended up the first time that I attempted to upload the video, it didn't upload at all. It failed, and I had to upload it again, and then it took more than an hour or so to upload it the second time, but it did finally go through. But there's all sorts of these glitches that I'm noticing on the computer, and I don't know if it has anything to do with Mercury being in retrograde or not, but I find it interesting that I am noticing these things, and I have other people that write to me and say that they've been experiencing computer problems as well, and there's been several at least of those that have indicated that the same situation. And all of that is just chat with you, my friends, by way of introduction to today's video, which is 2012 for those who think nothing is happening. I hear from people all the time that simply do not believe anything will really change. Some point out that there have been promises of change in the past that never came true. Pockets of people have believed they lived in the end of days and were on the verge of entering the eternal now when good would finally arrive. But it did not happen. This is true. It has happened many times according to what we've been told. Who, though, has been doing the telling? Is that part of our conditioning, our programming that keeps us in repeating the experience of impoverishment and disempowerment? Last night, I had the privilege of having Bruce Orion, who is an astrologer, a hypnotherapist, and an historian from Sedona, Arizona, here to fill in for what normally would have been Christopher Tim's night. But Christopher is overwhelmingly busy these days and begged out, and so Bruce graciously consented to coming and presenting some thoughts about time, and we had a discussion following his presentation last evening. And it's interesting because he was putting forth the idea that time is an illusion created by the mind. And ultimately, there's only ever now. There is no past, there is no future, there's only now. And from a spiritual perspective, this is absolutely true. We only ever really have now, but in the now, we can contemplate in the mind. We can contemplate the past, looking back, or hope for or contemplate again the future. And we've been told stories of various peoples down through the ages, especially in the Dark Ages. There were pockets of people in Europe that believed that the world was coming to an end in 1000 AD. And this isn't, and this AD, BC time thing that we live in is an artificial construct created by people that have been running the Roman system for a long time now on this Gregorian calendar. And time is an illusion from the respect that no moment can be prolonged. Each moment continues to pass in sequential time. But as I argued last night, and it's not an argument like we were trying to win an argument, it's just making points. To me, time is not as much an illusion as it is a gift of allowing us to experience in sequence various things of creation. We can experience dark and we can experience light, good and evil. We can experience ourselves as being impoverished and disempowered, and we get occasional opportunities, it seems, to experience ourselves being empowered and enriched by contrast. And all of all the things that people call illusions in spiritual teachings and in philosophical societies, of all the things that people call illusion, not real, there's only one, to me, that is truly an illusion, and that is, as I've said before for those of you that listen, the illusion of separation. Everything else I wouldn't categorize as an illusion. I would categorize it only as an experience. And what we experience is always in the now. But because we are experiencing it in this artificial construct called time, which we've gifted ourselves with. See, I don't see it. When I wrote the poem many, many years ago, time is the enemy of my soul. It's the one thing I cannot control. I no doubt in those moments was frustrated that things didn't happen the way that I wanted them to. Things weren't appearing the way that I was hoping for. And there have been history of disappointments down through the ages. In this age, in this time, we realize that we have been lied to. We realize that the human race has been programmed to repeat failure. It certainly appears to be that way. And like I've pointed out before, and as I pointed out last night again, I think that the fact that we have within our memory, both conscious memory and subconscious memory, we have within our history of experience the realization that we have been disappointed time and time again. And the past, that image of being disappointed, that sense of disappointment, has pervaded our consciousness to the point where it's like an anchor. The past holds us in place and locks us in to repeated failure again and again and again. What I sense is happening now in 2011, 2012, in this small framework of time that we're experiencing together right now, I think something is different. To me, it feels like something is different, especially in my better moments. And I'd have better moments and not as good moments. And that's the truth, based on what I'm feeling, what thoughts are pervading my consciousness in any given moment. Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? When I'm in my best moments, I sense that there is something, an energy that is pulling us forward, and our future is redirecting us to where we're going and to get us to change our focus from where we've been. For those that think nothing is happening, my God, if you are looking at the news, you're probably right mostly. Except even on the news, the mainstream news, from what I understand, there's truth leaking out about the corruption, and that's part of the change. Because people, more people than ever, are aware of the fraud and the corruption of our governments, of our institutions that have shaped our culture. And they're the ones that have written our history. Now, we know in the present day there have been little pockets of and cults of people that believe the Hale-Bopp comet is going to come and take them all away and stuff like that, and people that build these things. And we know these things in current events, and we know other things that we've been told from history, where there were, again, pockets of people that in 1000 AD that thought the world was going to come to an end. And then we all know most of us anyway, know the 2000, the 21st century one, where there was going to be Y2K and all the computers were going to collapse, and this whole scenario was built up, and it didn't happen. And so we have this consciousness of the promises don't ever occur. They don't ever occur. And many people buy into that belief system. Many people say, well, it's just an illusion, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to hang out and watch. And just hanging out and watching, all right, there's a lot of people that do that, and that's their spiritual path as far as they choose to define it. As far as they choose to identify themselves, well, I'm not going to be a believer, I'm just going to sort of hang back. But everybody's a believer in something, and everything that we have is belief systems. And we can either make the ride exciting or not. I am convinced personally that life has meaning. Those that say everything is an illusion are nihilists, to me, from my perspective. That's how I would label them, nihilists. Nothing's real. It's all fake, it's all illusion, nothing matters. If I actually believed that, I would probably opt out of living this life. But I don't choose to believe that. I choose to believe that life is not meaningless, but meaningful. Indeed, it is the meaningfulness of my own life that gives me the courage to go on when I face all of these perceptions, all of these experiences, all of these circumstances that seem to try my patience. The lawsuit, the computer issues, the various other things that go on in my world that could get me really, really depressed if I let it. But I don't let it, because I know that these things are all passing. They are moments in time that I let go of. I'm not going to lock myself in to getting discouraged and despondent over these conditions and circumstances that frustrate me. And they do frustrate me. I'm not going to lie to you and pretend and put on the plastic smile and say, oh, it's all right. You know, everything is wonderful. You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be as authentic and genuine as I know how to be. But at the same time, as I admit my disappointment and my frustration over certain things, I have within me a tremendous expectation and hope, if you will, a faith that ultimately there is a meaning and a purpose, that God didn't put this thing all together, or Creator did not make all of this as some just big sadistic joke, as some masochist that just wanted to punish us with this mental construct and these mental abilities that we have evolved into, where we can perceive the world around us, where we can think outside of the present moment, when we can reflect on the past and project into the future. This is a gift, not a curse. We can use it as a curse. Everything that we've been given, we can see it from a negative or a positive viewpoint. That is a real gift. That is the gift of time, from my perspective. And so I see lots of change. Why? Because I look for it. If I just went out and bought myself a Volkswagen Beetle, I'd probably see, or was contemplating it, I'd see Volkswagens everywhere. Because I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking about and looking for signs of real change. And folks, they're there. For those that look, they are there. For those that don't want to look, they're not going to see them. Simple as that. Not going to see them. Where do you choose to be? Where do you choose to be? Do you want to just label everything as an illusion? Do you want to be a nihilist and say nothing is real? Nothing really changes. Everything remains the same. We are what we are till the day that... Larry Norman, for those of you that don't know where that came from. We have before us, in this present moment, we have before us an opportunity, I believe, to totally shift our reality. And I encourage you to look for the evidence, because it's there if you look for it. If you're a non-believer, nothing I can say can convince you, and I'm not trying to. I don't even know why you're still listening. I don't know why. But for me, we are in the throes of a major shift. Major upheavals are happening around the world, and it's a cosmic global event, and it's not insignificant at all. It is very significant. Now, I choose to believe that. If you don't, be where you are. But for those of you that join me, I think we are changing the world, and I feel that we're going to succeed this time. What's your point of view? Answer that question for yourself, not for me or anyone else. Namaste.